before we go into the movie, let's take a look at the behind the scenes of the making of Heavenly Sword, because the developers actually have quite a lot of things to say. Yeah, you have only 2 episodes of the animated series. Why not just put all of it in here? Whatever.
Are you sure it's not like they combined 2 and 2, as in they're all 4 just combined?
Maybe, I don't know, I haven't actually
There were
checked.
5 episodes, so that would mean that one probably has 2 episodes and the other 3, if your theory is correct.
Well, whatever, the point is...
I don't know who the artist who did this is, but, you know, they seem to be roughly what the final finished product they became.
Yeah, like, the concept art seems to be reasonably fine. There you go. And here's Bohan, Nariko, Flying Fox. I don't quite know who that was, but...
I'm guessing that was another Bohan one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when they do a feature like this, they often include unused.
But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, it feels like, again, maybe we're just seeing some of the later drafts, but a lot of these drafts more or less seem to be what they just came out with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure has flat out screenshots of the cutscenes. I mean, not that in this...
Or not necessarily early draft, but, you know, similar to how, for example, Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction is an entire feature on the making of one single cutscenes for all of its stages.
I guess. Here's a promotional art.
You know, maybe there's a deeper layer of stuff we haven't seen yet, but again, it really seems like they more or less went with their first drafts on a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's Nariko naked for some reason.
And there's Roche. And the female ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this is an early draft of Nariko.
The female ninjas were supposed to look underneath there.
Was it?
Again, discarded potentially concepts. I can see that. There was also an earlier design of Bohan, which was more owl motifs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, we pretty much assumed that that's Bohan. For all we know, it could have been an evil brother of his.
That's great shot.
Open your mouth and say ah. That's what it looks like.
Oh, there was supposed to be a snow level at some point.
Apparently, yeah.
More agreed. Again, I get the idea. The original concept, included more different variety locale instead of a more restrained location. When you really get down to it, the game itself takes place in only a very few locations.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, going off of what we're seeing so far, it seems like they more or less got their vision down pat.
You can tell also this was inspired by different types of Central Southern Asian cultures, like, Indonesia and China.
Yes.
Which is also why most of the casting is comprised by British people.
Oops.
Well, and an Australian.
Well, Theo,
yeah, remind me, Dweebs, is Andy Serkis Australian or Kiwi? Forgot.
British.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
Australian,
I'm pretty sure he's a Brit.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Tio?
Who's the Australian then?
The actress playing Nariko, isn't it?
Ah, okay. Well, no, I didn't know.
Alright, so that's the art gallery. Let's take a look at the unlocked videos, which is, of course, all the cutscenes. So yeah, you can watch all the pre-rendered movies in here. That's it. And here it is. Making of Heavenly Sword, which is turned up in 5 raw, so let's do
it. Oh my god, there's that repetitive final boss theme.
We'll go into the score in a moment.
I think each video does like a different...
Yeah, basically. Introduction.
Huge sweeping vistas, enormous combat moves.
Fantastic visuals, huge environments in which the action sequences take place.
Alright, could you speak up there? You sounded a bit like you were whispering.
The subs are very
and there's Tameen. Fun fact, this featurette, this is the first time I've actually seen Tameen and how he looks like.
Oh my god, Tameen without that jackass beard.
depending on
It's
the
so
content you
surreal.
Remember, Joe, it changes the haircut and style between the release of DMC and the promotional video with
You can
PS4.
take part in the adventure, and everything you do feels like you're in a movie. So it's kind of fulfilling a.
Oh my god, I was right. They were trying to go cinematic.
To me, it looks like someone like it looks like a supermarket worker.
She is a
Why?
powerful,
Like I
strong
often
woman
see.
with
Nina Christensen.
Nah, I'm not really.
Anyway, here's Anna Torv, who plays Nariko.
Beautiful skin, big, gorgeous lips.
I believe
Okay.
she would go on to some other stuff.
Mine to me, like it's like Tio said though. To me, changes his look quite
sword is an
often.
incredibly powerful and ancient weapon. While it makes her pretty much invincible, it's also killing her. She decides to use it because she's seeking revenge for all the death and devastation that evil King Bohan has wreaked.
Fun
on the
fact:
land.
this woman will later go on to be playing Tess in the Last of Us series.
King
Ah.
Bohan,
Who, Anna Torv?
maniacal despot.
Yes.
To get his
Well,
revenge.
I genuinely had no idea that that was the case, actually.
I know, right? It's a funny little coinky thing.
Wow, spoilers for the end of a game. Yes.
Through to
Unless you unlock these after you collect all of the glyphs.
She's a secondary character you actually.
Are these unlocked like via gameplay page, or do they already?
You need to get those little,
Glyphs, remember.
Yeah.
Also different HUD.
in the middle of combat.
mhm.
Oh, that's done. That's fair.
Life clock.
I mean, are you sure?
This is going to be a timed game.
Yeah, I get the idea. That time limit. Can you even imagine?
Oh, okay, hold on.
Set of time.
So let me just clarify. What Jova means is she's she's Tess in the Last of Us TV series. Her only
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you meant the franchise as a whole, as in with the game as well. But
no.
but no, but she's really good as Tess, so no, that's fine. I mean, yeah. Thinking about it, yeah, let's get Nariko's actress to play Tess. Yeah, that sounds like a natural, logical choice. Actually, now that I know, actually, sure.
Working in New York, New Zealand, and so forth.
So apparently they worked on this game for 5 years.
It's interesting because man, now it's my turn to say it. She looks so young in this footage compared to how she looks now.
It's called aging.
I hope
Yeah.
that people really enjoy the game, that they get really engrossed in it.
It's big. it's dramatic, it's
Some
exciting.
will.
Some will, not a lot though.
In a blockbuster movie, you probably won't get any.
Oh my god, Jamim really
Stop it,
was. Oh my god, he really was into making this like a movie. Okay, maybe we can make the trio between Tamim, David Cage.
To be fair,
Da-
to be fair, it's not like that can't be done properly without sacrificing the
I
interactivity.
just wish they didn't put it as the main, what they, pushing it as saying a main selling point or something.
Well, that's the thing too.
that
For
is
as much,
honestly the issue.
that-
Castlevania also Shadow never claimed it to be and yet achieves the same result.
I get that too, but you also have to understand that back in the mid 2000s, this was a genuinely selling point to a lot of gamers. So
The thing is though, like a lot of those things, it eventually became something of a sour point by the time of, say, Order 1886. Now, obviously, it was not as much a sour point at this point, but man, hindsight.
Love how
Again,
love how they called Chief Creative Ninja. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was kind of their thing where they called their team members ninjas, because, you know.
Ninja Theory.
Fear.
We watched some Wuxia movies.
If I
Alessandro
understand correctly, the idea behind the naming is like,
Alessandro
well,
Tanini.
Taini.
It's like, well, you know
I
how
don't know
some.
who he is.
I think the idea behind the naming of the company is like, you know how some college courses are called like psych theory or, you know, X theory or whatnot? My guess is that that was the idea with this one.
Again, I will once again like to quote that quote from Sam Lake that I like to quote, which is, "There's nothing inherently wrong with cutscenes, and in fact, sometimes they can actually be preferable to forcing a movement to be interactive when it doesn't fit." Basically.
That pretty much does go without saying. Again, the issue is when people went too much in the opposite direction, going for just trying to make your game into a poor man's movie over actually being a game, which tended to hurt a lot of experiences.
It's just a sensible choice.
I mean, I will argue that this game, honestly, for as much as he keeps talking about the movie thing, I will argue this game has still much more gameplay time than cutscene time. To be honest with you,
because again, it's a completely a moot point, but it's also giving a bad idea what the product is like.
And you know what? You are right. There is more gameplay to cutscene time.
Yeah, I kind of wish
However,
the owl like design for bow and stock.
well, but here's the thing. But here's the thing, though, too.
I
Like,
agree.
here's the thing, though, too. Him saying, "Oh, I want this to feel like you're engrossed in a blockbuster," that doesn't mean he means that literally. He means like, "Oh, it feels like you're playing a movie because of how good the visuals look," or something along those lines. It doesn't necessarily mean what you think what you're implying with that. Like, I think
What am I implying?
that there's a lot more that there's like 80% cutscenes or something like that.
No,
No?
he wasn't.
I guess I don't know.
Okay, let me pretty much state my stance on this. I see where the problem came from, though. Yes, technically, there is more gameplay than cutscene stuff, but it does feel
that
like
guy had
the
a Street
gameplay...
Fighter 3 action figure.
Neat. It feels like the gameplay and QTEs were geared to making this feel cinematic. Now, that is not inherently a bad thing, but I do feel like that is the heavy contribution to how sluggish the game feels. Wants to make it feel all cinematic and stuff, so let's slow down the action to make it feel all epic and whatnot. When in reality, it just drags down the pacing of the game.
When I compare the footage that we get from PlayStation 3 to the frames of the video footage we had back then, the PlayStation footage just looks way better than we could actually create.
We can certainly have greater
True, you know, that tech and whatnot.
polygons than we could.
Interesting, you know, places you could edit it in for that model.
This is how we rendered her crotch. I mean, that's literally what they were focusing on there. I don't know what they want us to
the
think.
editor put together this. Could have chose a
now
different
her
angle.
nostril.
Well, that's just it. That's the thing of it. They're showing you how
The models created the polygon count.
how high fidelity it is compared to the PS2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, yeah, that's one thing about us here in the UK. We're a very theatrical bunch.
Wow.
All right, capturing performance now. Okay, Andy, tell us all about the mocap.
And it certainly looked like he was sneezing.
Yeah, basically, Andy directed all of the mocap stuff.
It might be due
I mean,
to
he's
kind
really
of like...
good at it anyway, so...
Admittedly, those dots do look kind of uncomfortable with how much they have to put on the face, so I can understand him wriggling the face a bit.
Capturing performance.
Again with spoilers for the final cutscenes.
Well, Taylor, I don't know what to tell you.
Actually, that's a good point. Even though you have to collect glyphs, I'm pretty sure at the point you would have unlocked this would have been before that scene comes.
If you're good enough, yes.
Only play one of the characters in the game, King Bohan. He's also our dramatic director.
Huh.
The job of
That's New Zealand.
has been, it's quite wide ranging. When you're casting,
God, Andy Serkis was so much younger back then.
Pre-designed way that the character is going to finally manifest itself on screen, and yet you're trying to find the souls of these characters.
Stop playing with her and kill her!
Okay, I think he's moved. I think he's gotten better as a director. I think.
Well, okay, I will argue that the direction is not the bigger problem with the cutscenes, it's more so the writing. I think I will argue that the cutscene direction is fine.
Confused, because I don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. There are many problems with this game. The direction was not one of them.
Times picking up everything from every angle.
That's just the power of writing that some people tend to underestimate. Bad writing really can just wreck a whole project big time.
Well, Andy Serkis was involved in the writing too.
Yeah, so...
And
yeah.
for that, yeah, he does take part of the blame.
Get his outfit on. I can purely play and just have as much fun as I can.
Yeah, but that's yeah, like a lot of actors have actually said this in interviews that a lot of actors actually really like the mocap aspect because it literally allows them to it's like you're a kid playing an imaginary character basically. And since it's all...
What are you doing?
I wonder if he's shooting for an extras video where we were supposed to see all the characters breakdance.
Oh,
like
you
in
know, like
Fahrenheit.
that section of Family Space within the protagonist dances to the tune of Thriller. Yeah, that was actually a thing.
Speaking of people looking younger, I've compared a picture of Timmy. He hasn't aged all that much. To
I'm
be
sorry,
honest.
this guy was called Stuart Adcock.
Well, Tio, is it up there with Katharina Junk?
Yes. Also, he looks like big fusion between the singer of Coldplay and Owen Wilson.
Also, yeah,
So there you go. They took some screenshots of Anna Torov's face, as well as put all the dots on her, like Jova said. So basically, so that they can properly capture all the detail on her face and all that stuff.
credit, one thing that was done well was the presentation and use of the visuals.
And again, they got the best in the world to handle this motion capture. So yeah.
Yep. So honestly, it does definitely explain on how the characters definitely were very expressive. They literally had the motion capture Wiz himself in charge.
It's something that happens unintentionally also in LA Noire, because they actually asked the mocap for them to be, expressive in terms of having the player understand the emotions, but it doesn't. The result is that the characters are too expressive.
Okay, I get your sentiment to me, but there have been dramatic stories before 2007.
It's
I will say
it's a big problem with pretentious directors in gaming. They always feel the need to self-aggrandize their own game.
Sound design and music, this I actually gotta hear.
I will say
I think it's more about the sound. I think the music one's the next one.
The weird thing is that despite Tamim definitely having that pretentious air to him, he still doesn't seem nearly as much the bad attitude as he would later become infamous for. I wonder what happened with him.
The sound of combat.
Alright.
So basically, this is basically about the sound effects, most likely.
From the very beginning, we wanted to create.
I don't really have a problem with those. So
Take a shot every time they say the word cinematic.
maybe that's what Jeff was implying for that trailer of Hellblade 2 at the Game Awards.
They give the player the most information and the most connection with.
But yeah, like I said, the sound effects are actually something that I had no real problem with.
To generate all kinds of different sound effects and sound materials.
Play it by ear sound.
By ear sound.
And his shirt was blurred out.
Copyrighted.
Okay.
I didn't even ask him to put a blank one.
Garbage dumps, and we look for things that would work for the video game.
Yeah, you should always check out the making of when it comes to sound design, because it's always a treat. They use real stupid shit sometimes and it still works.
Yep.
I know, right?
Yeah, the squelching of Mortal Kombat sound effect, like to create the blood and stuff, is used by using a plunger on a tub of gel.
Any kind of a sound we have with a movie.
That's because using actual objects to create sounds will always be preferable to trying to create sounds on a computer, because when you have actual physical things making noise, there's no replacement for that.
Unless the noise to be computery.
Well, obviously.
So I gotta wonder, did they have Microsoft characters on their shirts, and that's why they had to
Could be, for example, the logo of AC/DC or stuff like that.
Because
a lot of shirts usually have music logos on them.
It can be literally anything that is copyrighted, literally anything.
Even Mickey Mouse, for we know.
I swear, copyright law is so needlessly complex. Celery!
Watermelons are pretty overrated.
Yeah, it works. I mean,
it does work.
Mallet, and you get a half a second sound that doesn't have any kind of an implosion sound. Or we want something that sort of tears at the fiber of the item.
the strategy is everything that you can, then pull all of the sounds and see if there's something that works.
Sometimes even combine them to get the most immersive sound.
It's
All
the
right.
thing that we want to use to make the player feel the most powerful.
So what did they use to simulate the sound of the sword?
From Crouching Tiger.
Yep,
I'm not
they
asking,
literally bought
don't
swords.
try this at home, keys, but if you swing a metal object that's sharp, like a knife, it will actually produce still a sound.
A challenging part of the game is the variation. Tom will ask for 2 or 3 different sword sounds. So if she's unsheathing her
You know,
sword,
again,
20 or 30
I'm gonna give this game
that you
credit.
hear the same sound.
For the time, this was probably very, very remarkable given what they were doing with these production values.
You can tell that it is the team wanted to have passion in making it. I cannot, really deny
I
that.
think we even threw on a tape measure for the extension sounds that we had.
Yes, a tape measure was used to simulate the ultimate combat. Again, I really do love the sound effect making process. Like, it's interesting when you find out what actually was used to making some of these cool badass
Similarly
sounds.
to what is being said about the mocap, again, it's kind of like being a child. You just play around with tools and see what works.
The sounds
And you get paid for it.
We can convey that in the game and everybody's happy. Then we did our job. And it makes it that much more exciting and happier.
And you know what? You did your job extremely well, sirs.
Hooray.
Now onto the other aspect.
Not for someone who, in my opinion, didn't do as much of a good job.
The music.
Yeah, the music.
Like I said, this guy apparently did only TV and movie stuff, and decent as labor his only video game works.
Okay, regardless of when you unlock these, why did they choose to use the final boss music to introduce these?
I guess
Probably
it's the
they believe,
composer.
oh, this is probably the most epic and useful for his introduction piece.
I guess. Creating the music.
Alright, let's hear it.
Like Nariko herself, who represents strength and vulnerability, we wanted to approach music in a similar way. We have our big orchestral soundtrack, but we want to add a more ethnic element and marry those two together.
Yeah, this I can't believe. The music clearly feels inspired by different, again, similar to the aesthetics of the game, is even inspired by different types of Asian culture.
So it was performed by the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra.
All the way in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is get together all of the music that I've programmed, but
This is the first time I've seen
You should. Oh, okay. No, because for example, the medieval remake also has an entire bonus content that talks about and showcases the composition of the soundtrack. Kadikarus talked about it when he reviewed the game.
working through an interpreter. But what's incredible?
The Demon Souls remake also had a featurette talking about how they used a real life organ.
Yeah, they even used the for the music in the Digimon movie.
Yeah.
In that case, I've forgotten the exact one, but it was an orchestra in Israel.
For the Bloodborne... Well, actually, that was me. For the Demon Souls remake, Bluepoint used the same sound team from Bloodborne.
Atia was actually about to say something.
No. It was pretty much the same. But this is also the thing that's a bit frustrating. I don't think this music is inherently bad in itself. You know, it's competently made. You know, it's fine on its own. The problem is that, despite it being also a bit of personality, it just doesn't gel completely well with the final product. I think
Here's
that's
the
the problem with that.
One of the big problems is like, well, they got some good tunes for the mundane moments. The problem especially shows when they're supposed to have the big important themes, like, you know, the boss tunes or the big dramatic moments. Those music tracks always feel like they fall flat for one reason or another.
Only a couple of studios actually implemented also dynamic music, and that came only way later on, like say God of War 3.
There's also the main heroine, Noriko. There's a sense of pathos with a lot of the scenes that she's in. In combat,
guess.
the music tends to be quite epic and has a lot of power to it.
Citation needed.
Oh, I get it is. The problem with that to me is that it's not long enough to mask effectively the repetition. The problem with the final boss theme, Java, is not that it's not epic enough, but that you keep hearing the same tune because it loops too much frequently.
Honestly, my bigger problem is that the melodies are just flat out unmemorable as fuck.
Yeah,
I can't. I hear the music. The music is so bland. Sorry to say, that it just like I literally forget that it's even happening.
Not even that. Okay, they have some moments of power, yes, but they don't even have enough power throughout all the bits that they repeat over and over again. Like, okay, look, if a theme's repetitive, but at the very least has a big, dramatic, sweeping bout that's enough to carry it, I would be somewhat more okay with it, but nah, this didn't even manage that, really.
Yeah. Found the name, actually. The Israel Philharmonic Orchestra based in Tel Aviv. That's the Digimon movie. There you go.
Could get to this level.
And there we are.
It is admittedly a bit of a shame that this game did not really turn out to be a success, seeing how excited these people are, but I'd like to believe that they don't really have any regrets. Like, the game ends on pretty much enough of a closer.
Well, I'm still glad that they put this also in the actual game. It's a showcase of also sign of confidence. These days, it's mostly having a couple of videos on YouTube, you know, showcasing that, like, again, the Demon Souls remake I tended to have, or presenting some stuff like the PlayStation State of Plays or Nintendo Rex. But I kind of miss a bit where most games, not these days, some still have, but back in the day, a lot of these, if not almost all of them, did had these behind the scenes, which has been talked about the studios. By the time we're recording this, I also recorded the vast majority of Ratchet and Clank games, and those tend to have almost all of them, you know, something like that, and it's always a treat to see.
All right. All right, everybody. So that was Heavenly Sword. So I guess we're going to go straight into the movie. In fact, as of this recording, we're about to get right into it to record it. So tune in. See you for that.
See you then.